Hello, my beautiful sister. Everybody, this is the wonderful and one and only Tashana, who I have been so fortunate to guide in the Unapologetically You journey. And yeah, Tashana, it was just like such a joy and a privilege to have you in the space and to see how deeply your own journey and your self-awareness, your willingness to stay current with yourself and your process week to week, and the reflections that you offer this space inspired everyone else in the container. And it really just goes to show that we are co-creating this experience. We all are an essential piece of the journey, and each of our unique unfolding and our stories get to support and empower and amplify each other's. So thank you for bringing your incredible insight and your relentless devotion to truth. It was such a gift to have and a deep treasure.
Yay.
Mm. So that being said, Tashana, I would love to hear about your experience. How after experiencing and devoting and giving it your all to unapologetically you, what has been this present result for you? How are you feeling more connected to your unapologetic self and perhaps more free in your authentic expression, more allowing of your authentic experience?
Mm, Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It was a great time. Um, One of the things that I most valued that spread throughout all of the areas of my life was there was a plethora of days that since I'm going through so much in my life, I showed up really not feeling like my highest, most happy, giddy self. And I was like always received in that, always respected in that. And because of being seen and respected and like loved through my like rough kind of edges, I would always leave with this like, oh, I feel center again. I feel like back into myself. I'm not so frustrated with these external factors. And because of being able to show up in this safe container with you and the other members of our group, it inspired me and allowed that growth within myself to then like go into other areas of my life where I didn't feel like I had to be like, hi, I'm here to perform for you, I'm here to be happy for you. And I was then able to be like, no, this is actually where I'm at, and this is where I need to be heard. Can you hear me in that? And I was pleasantly surprised to be heard in standing my ground multiple times outside of the experience. But I really give credit to being able to show up in a space and not have to be perfectly put together, and being well received and loved through that. And that's why
Mm,
it went everywhere else.
wow. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, so I'm hearing that through your ability and like the welcome invitation for you to bring your most unapologetic, authentic self to our calls and to our group cultivation, you were able to bring that out into your life outside of the container, which is more so being able to apply that that experience, that imprint of being received and loved in your authentic experience, whatever it was, whatever mood you were in or whatever you were moving through, and kind of invite the sense of permission to show up in the world as authentically you, even when it meant there was like a difficult conversation, or even when it meant that you might disappoint someone else, and to stand your ground in service to truth, in service to honoring yourself.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mm.
that's very much what I felt like I went through. It gave me a space to um it gave me a space to trust community to actually hold me more than I had previously been willing to allow people to do.
And what did that feel like, being held in community in a way that you could really rest into?
Well, I think I feel like I've had experiences in moments that I've been like, "Oh, this community is holding me so much right now." But with Unapologetically You being a weekly a 10-week experience and weekly being held, it actually ingrained it more for me. So it wasn't just like this passing fleeting moment of like, this community is holding me right now and they won't be here tomorrow or next week or whatever. It was this reoccurring theme where like I'm still going through hardship since last week, and I'm still going through hardship since last week, and I still am. And then every single time being like, we love you through that hardship. Thank you for being honest with us. And it actually ingrained in me more deeply that like I first of all can make community with anybody that feels in alignment with me. Like it doesn't just have to be like these people dropped from the heavens with angel wings, even though you are one. Um, that it can be like these people of my choosing coming together and like with that routine of being held is it was very supportive. It felt like a little plant that gets watered once a week, and then my little leaves went pew 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 throughout the process.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's such a unique and different experience in being able to like surrender and give yourself to the internal work, and like the deep traversing of our landscapes of our past, our present, our future in a solo mission versus in a group space where there is that support, there is that consistency and that anchor. And I'm glad that you were, yeah, able to receive more of that imprint. That community is there for you. And we are in this together and we all are going through it together and we're all having breakthroughs that empower one another and inspire each other.
Yeah, very
Mhm.
grateful.
Hmm. So, Tashana, how has the ability to bring more of your authentic, unapologetic expression experience to life outside of the container benefited you? Like, what did you see? What did you meet? What did you see? What did you experience as a result of you bringing your authentic self? How was that? How has that been rewarding, useful, or evolutionary?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is that at the beginning of this experience, I was much more a martyr, if you will. um,
Know about
and
that.
and throughout the process, I really learned how to have a voice of my own and stand up for things. Um, yeah, I learned how to stand up for myself in a way that I never was willing to stand up for myself and to say the thing that was most authentic to me in the best way that I could, even if it was rough around the edges for others. I was able to like stand up for myself and really hold true to what is authentic to me.
You
Those
could
are the ways that that's the predominant way that I feel like I've grown throughout this experience, is feeling like I can stand up for myself, even if it's kind of like rough around the edges, because I was able to be held while I was rough around my edges. That also transferred to like, I'm standing up for myself and it's rough around the edges, but I was still heard and accepted throughout that process. And it actually like bettered the relationships that I had to like stand up for myself in. It was evolutionary.
Hmm.
Yeah, it also gave me an opportunity to like more deeply um trust in me.
Okay, so I'm hearing some elements of being able to trust in yourself, and I'm curious to hear more that how has unapologetically you supported the furtherance or the deepening of self-trust, and what has that been like for you in in living your life now?
How did unapologetically you help me further and deepen my self-trust? That's such a good question. um well, I think I had to learn how to actually trust that what I have to say has value and that others can gain from what I have to say, even if it is setting a boundary, even if it is maybe unpleasant in that moment, that nonetheless there's value in what I have to say and what I have to offer to a situation, my perspective. Like my perspective has values, and the lived experiences that I have to share like via my memory and via my stories actually, yeah, like has value, can impact. Like me showing up unafraid, unabashed, unapologetic is the highest form of love that I can share with myself, therefore share with others in my circle.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. It was,
valuing yourself.
yeah, it was really good.
Oh. And through this valuing of yourself, what is now available to you in life as you move onward and the container's complete and you take this onward, this energy that you've met and deepened in with yourself
As I continue my life, how can I take on that lesson of what I value?
of valuing yourself, of like being driver's seat, valuing Tashana.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like in valuing myself, I feel more aligned to my own path and not anybody else's path. Um, and valuing myself, I can stand up for what my path is, instead of trying to divert to somebody else's path while simultaneously saying, I love that you're on that path. That path is so good for you. And I see that this is what is most aligned for you. And at the same time, this is what's most aligned for me. The love is still there. The understanding and the compassion is still there because we each have love and understanding and compassion for ourselves and whoever, this is relates to in my life or all that. Yeah, I really feel like that in valuing more deeply my voice, it has offered freedom to my life and to the life of those in my circle and in my life.
Oh, wow. Mm. Mm. Wow. So through the advocacy of your most authentic, unafraid, unabashed self, you have furthered your experience of sovereignty within your path and feeling that, knowing that, feeling connected and committed to it, while also experiencing the internal freedom of that and reflecting that freedom outward to your relations in their own invitation to do that as well.
Yeah, and accepting that there's no such thing as like a perfect path or like a
Mm.
perfect way. We talked about sub personalities a lot, and like the critic was a big one that came up. And since really like kind of having a better relation with that sub personality of a critic, my focus has turned to this other one of being like perfectionist and how everything needs to be perfect the first time, and softening more around like perfect is the perception of your experience. Like it's not the experience itself. It's just the way that you choose to perceive it. And accepting that has been very liberating.
Mhm. So an inner softening and shifts of perspective that have been, how does that feel like to have that inner softening and these perspective changes?
Mind. It feels far less like having like shackles of a like this should happen, how it should go, and much more like accepting and compassionate and tender and accepting of the vast variety
Mm.
that we can show up, that life can show up, that experience can show up. Like it's much more curious about the lesson in it and less critical and upset about the fact that there's a lesson.
Oh, wow. Powerful. Mm. That sounds like the transition from these experiences in life that we can feel like victimized by and more in the seat of the victim, to the empowered, like, what am I going to do with this? And what is, what's my opportunity as the sovereign ruler of my life?
Yeah, I feel like I really love the way you worded that, because I feel like that epitomizes kind of my transformation throughout this journey, is going from that, like, I am a victim of my life. Like, life is happening to me. I'm very upset. I feel like a victim of my life. I can't control anything. And where I'm at now is that, like, I am the only one who can make an effort to contribute to my life so fully and so unabashedly. Like, I am not a victim. I am empowered to, like, take my own steps in my process. And in being empowered in my truth and in my vulnerability, that is what then gives the leeway and the empowerment to the world.
Everyone else. Oh,
Everyone.
yes. I
Everyone can
love
benefit.
that.
We just
That's
got to come into it more.
uh-huh. Yes. Oh my gosh. Wow. I hear the coming into, yeah, more of the power that is your birthright to lead the life that you dream of authentically, unabashedly, unapologetically. It's huge. Hmm. Yay. So, Tashana, I'm curious what you would say to the person, to the soul who is wondering if unapologetically you would be right for them, if it's something that would be add value to their life and be be useful to their journey and to their evolution. What would you say to someone who is on the fence about joining?
Mm. I would say that if there's any aspect or area in your life where you feel that you are not showing up completely as yourself, any area, then it's for you. If there's any area in your relationships, in your career, um in your relationship to yourself, if there's any area in your life that you feel that you're not totally you, or something just feels off, like you're like, I don't know, it's not like a hell yes, like I am 110% showing up. If you're not there, then like this course is for you, because it is a real testament and a real showcase of the level that you are at, and the level that you can grow to throughout the experience of actually showing up for yourself. You get to learn about yourself. You get to, like, uncover things that you didn't even know were things that you've been dealing with, and then look at them and deepen into, like, reverence for aspects of you that at one point you may have been avoiding. At the beginning of the journey, you may have been avoiding it. And by the end of the journey, you may have reverence for it. And that is the ultimate gift you can give yourself in all areas and facets of your life. So 110% do it. It's really nice. It feels really good. Yeah.
Aw. Thank you. I love that. Tashana, how, if at all, do you feel that unapologetically you has furthered your authenticity within your recognition of your soul service, of Dharma, or of your career, and really inspired that within your experience of clarity or of receiving it or of empowerment?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, I think when you are in contact and connection with people who are presently in their dharma, it is inevitable that you open up to your own dharma and soul purpose, because you're witnessing in real time somebody else doing it, and it kind of gets your wheels turning about, like, oh, what does that look like for me? How it might not look like this, but maybe it looks like this, and this has always felt alive for me, but I've ignored it, or I've always been curious about it. And yeah, like, I really genuinely feel that when you're witnessing somebody in their dharma, that it's an open invitation for you to consider what it looks like for you to be in your dharma.
Mm.
um and when you get to kind of like reflect on that and percolate on that thought, and even when you're invited into that question of what does that look like, what has been alive for you since you were a little kid, like if all of these other ABCD wasn't a factor, what would you be doing, and can you step more fully into that? Like throughout this process, I have definitely regained my awareness of my dharma, something that I knew at one point, kind of forgot, kind of went here and there, and there's still truth in all of these things, but was like, no, this has been the thing my whole life though. Like this has been the thing that I choose to trust most.
Mm.
This is the feeling that I choose to trust the most. This is the feeling that feels the best. This is the feeling that feels the most alive. And having people that you can look up to, that inspire you, that have done that, and then say, well, if they did it, then I can do it. And then eventually somebody will look at you and be like, well, if they did it, I can do it. And it just makes everything go round and round, and it's so nice.
Oh, the divine domino effects. And yeah, this is a Dharma domino effect. Oh, I love that. Thanks for putting words to that. I've never, yeah, I don't think I've consciously had that in my thoughts, but as I've felt it, yeah, like when you meet someone who's really like in that dharmic expression, of their service, it is 1000% an invitation for you to do it too, showing you it's possible and also like calling you for it. Yay. Mm. Thank you, Tashana.
It's such an easy question of why I would recommend Yiz as a guide, for unapologetically you, or for anybody looking to connect more authentically with themselves. I think Yiz is a person that prioritizes authenticity in her own life, and it makes it a like an authentic factor. Like you can't fake authenticity, and you can't fake vulnerability. And to have a person who actively lives that lifestyle, leading a group, leading the container, it's very unavoidable that you can trust it. Like it's very unavoidable that you can trust her, because she is walking the walk that she talks. Like she talks the talk and she walks the walk, and it's just undeniable, that she has chosen to step in to her dharma. Like Yiz being in her authentic expression and in her dharma gave every single other person in the container I was with permission to step into their dharma and their soul purpose. And I witnessed that happen. And I just don't think that any of us would have gotten the depth of medicine that we received if it hadn't been for Yiz's dedication, her time, her energy, like the sacred space that she on her own time continued to cultivate, and dedicate to us individuals in the group. I've never had an experience with anybody else that was so dedicated to their mission as Yiz is. And that's the truth.
Oh, thank you, babe.